Hi, welcome to the Capricorn Rising channel. My name is Andrea. The point of this video is to talk about Pluto as it's transiting through the first house. As a Capricorn rising, I have been experiencing this Pluto transit through the first house for many years, since 2008. It's now 2024. So that means that Pluto has been transiting my first house for about the past 16 years. And it has been a doozy. And now we are, as I'm making this video right now, Pluto has retrograded back into Capricorn for its last time. It has stationed direct and it is now moving forward, going towards Aquarius. But the reason that I wanted to make this video specifically today is because we are having an opposition to Mars in Cancer that's coming up this week, and it has really been putting a lot of very clear pressure on this Pluto in the first house energy. And so I thought there really is no better time to meditate on an aspect in astrology than when you have another planet making a geometric alignment with that planet and really making it very pronounced and very clear about what the whole purpose and intention of that energy is. Pluto in the first house is about clarifying you as an individual, helping you to become more authentic in your own individual expression, your own perception of life, your own orientation to reality. Having it opposed by Mars and is just such a clarifying energy, and I really want to kind of go into that today. This video is, yes, it is for Capricorn risings, for anybody who has just come out of this 16-year period of Pluto being in your first house. Maybe this will help to kind of illuminate some things for you, but this is also a video for our Aquarius rising friends, because Pluto is now transiting into the sign of Aquarius. It will remain there for the next 20 years until about 2043, and then it will kind of move on into Pisces. So while Pluto is moving into Aquarius, that means for Cap rising, it's going to be in our second house. This is a whole new set of issues. There really is no transit quite like the Pluto in the first house transit. Pluto in the first house is really about developing your own sense of individuality and autonomy, and it is an evolutionary process that occurs over a long period of time. And even though it occurs over many years, and you see the definition of you as a person completely evolve, completely. Who you are at the beginning of this transit is nothing like who you're going to be at the end of this transit. I can promise you that. And that is always for the better. Maybe not always. Maybe there are some exceptions where Pluto actually does take a person out whenever transiting their ascendant, and that's not ideal. But I think that if you can work with the energy of Pluto moving through the first house and you can understand the intention behind this transit, then you stand a much better chance of evolving into the form or the being that I think that you're meant to become in this lifetime. Pluto moving through the first house is all about your own individual soul agency. What is the purpose for you being here as an individual? Any planet moving through the first house is developing your sense of agency or autonomy, your ability to function independently as a person. But Pluto is especially about that, because Pluto, it's a very intense energy that says basically whatever it takes, whatever I have to lose in the process, this is the thing that I am completely and solely committed to. This is the evolutionary process that is occurring at this point in my life. I am wholeheartedly dedicated to that. This thing is going to happen at all costs, no matter what. This thing is going to happen. So I think the sooner that, if you are having this Pluto through the first house transit, the sooner you can kind of embrace that understanding and awareness that you are going to have to really step into your purpose and your individuality and your sense of autonomy. The sooner you can do that, and the more you understand that that is the mission right now, then the less painful this has to be. One of the major things that I have seen for a lot of people experiencing Pluto through the first house is that it does, in fact, affect your seventh house. If we think about the first house as being the house of the self, it's my own individual perceptions of reality. It is how I see life, how I experience life. It is meant to be through the lens of my perceptions. Then the seventh house is the house of the partnerships or your committed agreements with other people. And the seventh house is meant to be a house of balance. The seventh house is a house where we learn that maybe life isn't all about me and my reality and my perceptions. And the seventh house is where I get what I need from other people, from a partner, for example, or a committed agreement or a business relationship or a best friend or something like that. What is most interesting is that when you have Pluto transiting through your first house, it's how that affects your seventh house. It's very, very, very hard to maintain a seventh house commitment with another person if you're not completely aligned with your soul purpose. In fact, your seventh house commitments to other people during this period of time, at the very least, should be for the sole purpose of strengthening and sharpening your commitment to your own journey. And maybe that's, generally speaking, true. Like, we always want to have a partner that sees our purpose and sees our potential and strengthens our own individual journey and, is committed to our mission. They're committed to us because we are committed to our mission. That's what we want. If you are going into this transit while already having a committed relationship, just know that that thing is going to be tested. You cannot have a partner that just is there to take up space. You cannot have a partner that's just there because you're lonely. You cannot have a partner that's, I'm going to call them a dud. Somebody who just is kind of an energy dump. Somebody that you pour a lot of energy into, but they don't see your soul mission because you haven't clarified it enough, because you haven't stood up and said clearly enough, this is what matters to me, this is the direction that I'm headed in, this is my passion, this is my mission. And so if your seventh house gets out of sorts, your relationships get out of sort while you're having this Pluto in the first house transit, know that this is very likely to happen. But it is because your first house of self-definition is not clear enough. It's not strong enough. But that's also why Pluto is moving through that house, to strengthen your sense of self-definition or your sense of purpose or how you walk through the world, how you approach life. It's going to be interesting to see how this affects those with Aquarius rising. I do think that there's going to be all kinds of interesting identity issues that come up with Aquarius risings while Pluto is transiting the first house. For the Aquarius risings for the next 20 years, I'm just, I'm putting this video out here so that I can encourage you to, brace yourself and hang in there because it's worth it. But just know that it will affect your relationships. Know that you cannot have any relationships that are not there for a very specific purpose. So, for example, if you have Pluto transiting through your first house, you'll need to look at the transiting planets in your seventh house, or if you have any natal planets in your seventh house. What are you clearly defining that needs to be in your life from another person? If you're Aquarius rising, you have Moon and Leo in the seventh house, then you will need to really learn how to ask for what you need from the significant other. So needs and emotional nurturing is going to become a really important thing if you have a natal moon in the seventh house, for example. If you have any other natal planets in the seventh house, you'll need to learn how to really cultivate that energy if you value your relationships at all. And then also, while there are transits happening to your seventh house, just know that what the universe is asking is for you to really cultivate that energy for that specific period of time. So if you have Pluto transiting through the first, and then Mars transits your seventh house, then for that period of time that you have Mars transiting your 7th house, you are going to need to look for martial inputs from your partner or your partners. So what does that look like? You'll need a partner who can teach you something about a technical skill, something about how to fight or engage or use weapons, or somebody who can teach you how to engage your body in creative ways, or become more physically adept at a specific martial art or sport or skill set that you have. While you have Pluto transiting the 1st house, it's also going to affect the other angles, the 4th house and the 10th house. The 10th house is your career, your legacy, the way that you portray yourself in the outer world. And as we know, the signs on the 1st house and the 10th house naturally clash with one another. Having Pluto moving through the 1st house is going to clarify and define anything that you have natally in the 10th house, and also any transits that move through the 10th house. Also, it's going to clarify and define your 4th house, which is your IC, which is the most personal part of your chart. So we're talking about clarifying and defining your roots, your family lineage, where you come from, your sense of your connection to your past or your childhood, for example. Pluto moving through the 4th house is not the only position that gets to do some deep excavating of their home life. It's also anybody who has Pluto on the angles, because it's aspecting that 4th house. So just know that if you have Pluto in the 1st house and you're learning how to become more autonomous as an individual in the world and to have greater self-sufficiency and greater definition of who you are as a person and how you approach life, it's also affecting your deep roots and your home and how you develop your home. So just be aware of that is a reality. Okay, this is all I have for those of you who are experiencing Pluto moving through the 1st house. I hope this helps, and I will catch you later on another day. Talk to you soon. Bye.